Blog Talk Radio.
Well, what you doing? You're awake. You're with me. It's all good and great and groovy and grand. Hi, how are you? I am so grateful that everybody has tuned in this morning. It's the 5th day of March, 2014, 8 a.m. Eastern, and we are live here, Blog Talk Radio, Perspective Power. My name is Annette Rochelle Aben, and you are listening to some really cool music in the background that was created for this program by award-winning artist David Martinka. David Martinka, absolutely fabulous, fabulous person. How can you find out more about him? Well, you can go to his website. I'd sure love that, www.redbellymusic.com. And you can also check him out at funshadows.net. That's the little group he's with. I've got several of their CDs. They are fantastic. And they've got a couple projects in the work. I'm not supposed to tell anybody. Well, all I'm telling you is they got a couple projects. I'm not telling you what they are, okay? But I promise that as soon as I know and I have freedom to share it, I know the rest. As soon as I know all that and I have freedom to share it, I'll pass it along. Oh, my gosh. Welcome to the Motor City. We've got a little bit of sun going on here. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Well, actually it's warmer now. Probably this temperature we've got, 18, 19 degrees, something like that? 15 degrees. Okay, cool. And this is probably the collective warmth of all the other shows that I've done since the beginning of January. Because if you take all the negative degrees and everything else and add them together with the positive ones, I think I about add up to 15 total every Wednesday that I've opened the phone lines here and gotten together with you. So we're having a heat wave. Oh, yeah, we are. But you know what? That actually ties right into my thought today about this being the creative process, trusting the creative process with an attitude of gratitude. You got to get creative sometimes, right? I'm putting a creative spin on the way I'm looking at the weather. Why? Because it's there, and I'm here, and I want to be happy in my life. So I could growl and grouse and shake my fist, and I just did that. I gird right at the window and shook my fist. Yeah, like that means anything. The weather just stands there and goes, hey, I'm the weather. The weather be like, I'm here, and you be like, oh, well. So I just had to throw the be likes in there because I see them on Facebook all the time. By the way, I'm on Facebook if you want to get in touch with me. Hook up with me there. But trusting that creative process with an attitude of gratitude is an interesting thought. I know when I am trying to accomplish something and I'm all balled up in knots over it, like, oh, this has really got to get done, and why isn't this getting done? Three things are going to happen. First of all, I'm not going to enjoy what I'm doing. And if you're going to be creative or you're going to create something, by gosh, aren't you doing it because it's bringing you some happiness and joy? Let's hope so, right? If not, find another project, okay, because that ain't the way it's supposed to be. Secondly, not only am I not going to enjoy it, but it's going to take longer because creativity in many ways seems to just flow. For instance, and we'll get back to number one. So, guys, remind me that I've got another thing to mention. Because you know me, I tend to jump tracks a little bit, but that's okay. Ooh, a rabbit. All right. I make bracelets, right? I love my bracelets. I've got them sitting over here. People walk in. Now, they are for sale. But if you walk in my house and say, I really like that bracelet, I am probably going to just give it to you. All right. So I make my little bracelets, and I love them. I make rosaries, too. Those I don't necessarily give away because that's – anyway. But anyway, and I love doing each one of these things. Now, I take custom orders, and that's all great and grand, but the idea here is that I really enjoy making them. So it's fun. My shoulders relax. I'm smiling. I love working with my beads. I love working with everything. Now, granted, my clippers don't always work the way I want them to, and the wire sometimes gets bent all up because I do string a lot on wire. And I'll sit there and grouse and go, son of a bead, I've got to take that thing apart and redo it. But you know what? The number one thing is trusting the creative process is I know there's going to be a really wonderful outcome. Thank you for reminding me about that, you guys. A really beautiful outcome. So I keep my eye on the prize. There you go. When you use the attitude of gratitude, because you're going to be grateful when it's over, right? You'll be so grateful that you've got that bracelet to look at, that rosary to use or gift somebody or whatever else. Another thing that I make are cheesecakes. I love my cheesecakes. And I really, where did that come from? That's the cheesecake love coming at you. And again, because I know I'm going to end up with this really cool end product, I have such fun making them. Now, I want to back up here for a second. The first time I made a rosary, I did not know if it was going to turn out the way I wanted it to. So I got a rosary from a store. I went to a Catholic supply house, and I bought me a rosary. It was really nice. I liked it. Hey, I like that rosary. And I put it in front of me, number one, so I could remember. It's been a long time since I'd used a rosary, what the bead sequence was. And number two, I wanted a visual of what it was supposed to look like. When you're making any kind of baked good, and you're lucky enough to have a recipe, or you're using a box mix, I mean, hey, no shame in that game. You're gonna make food. It doesn't really matter. There's usually a picture on the box of the cake mix, or the brownie mix, or the cookie mix of what things are going to look like. And sometimes, if you're lucky enough with a recipe, you get off the internet, or you find, a friend gives you out of a cookbook. There's going to be a photograph. So we're starting with the end in mind. Now, will yours always turn out looking like that? Not necessarily. But remember, this is the creative process. It's not supposed to look like theirs. It's supposed to look like yours. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. If you're making something, it's going to look a certain way. It's going to taste a certain way. It's going to smell a certain way. It's going to have a certain texture and density to it. Listen to me. I'm sounding like, Ina Garten here or something. But the idea is that you really, 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 really need to remember to trust that creative process. If, in fact, the first time you do something, it doesn't come out looking exactly like the end product you see, the picture that you've got in your mind, maybe that's because you're being trained to do it in a different way, or maybe you just haven't given enough of your inner creativity a chance, or maybe this is just a practice sort of a thing. Like playing the piano. I can plunk out a couple things on a piano with my right hand. I haven't quite figured out the left-right hand thing, the chording along with or whatever else. But if I sit there and plunk it out, you go, hey, I know that song, Annette. How cool are you? And I'll go, hey, pretty stinking cool. Now, does it mean I'm ready to concertize, at Ford Auditorium? Because I'm in Detroit, so we're representing, right? I don't even know if they're still around. Ford Auditorium or Carnegie Hall? Heck no. But the big joke is, how does one get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Trust that creative process, no matter what it is you are trying to manifest in your life, keyword there, manifest, is something you should be grateful for. Be grateful for the creative process by keeping the end result in mind and knowing that what your brain can conceive and believe you can achieve. I didn't make that up. I'm repeating what I've heard before. But, the reason I repeat that is because it really, 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 really is true. What you can conceive and you believe you can conceive, you can achieve. And the creative process is how we get there. We're always in creation. Every single thing we think creates a reality. Every single moment that we move throughout our life, we're creating a reality because of our thoughts. That is a creative process. So when you're grateful for every single little thing, even when you have to take a piece apart because it didn't turn out right, or you have to bake that cake again because, daggone it, it fell, or you have to remake that frosting because, ew, I thought it was sugar, it was salt, that is some nasty stuff in the trash with you. I can't tell you, those little cheesecakes, getting back to my cheesecakes because they're so cool, if I still ate dairy, I'd be eating one of those every week because they're way too much fun. I digress. That's okay. Ooh, a rabbit. I'll be doing that all day long now. Ooh, a rabbit. Just because I can. But anyway, when I started making those cheesecakes, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do with them. And I had a standard recipe in my head from ages and ages ago that I made when I ate differently. So I figured, okay, first of all, I want it to look different. I need to alter the recipe somehow to include the ingredients that I want it to include and the size of the pan I'm going to make it in. So it was a process. Did they all turn out uber-duper fabulous right away? Nope, they sure didn't. But the very first one wasn't bad. You know why? Because I tasted as I went along. When you're baking, it's very important to do that. I tasted as I went along. And I tweaked, and I pinched, and I did whatever else. So it was a matter of the length of time it baked, how long it sat and chilled, how long it took to set up, before I realized that cheesecake and I were going to be bestest buddies. And voila, as long as I remembered, number one, to write it down, number two, to follow my own recipe, number three, they all turn out pretty good. So life is good and great, groovy, and grand. It is the same with anything you're trying to do. There are going to be little things along the way you may tweak. So let's say you're trying to manifest money, and you put this out there, this energy out there. I am allowing. And by the way, I recommend Abraham Hicks. You can find their information on Facebook. You can find them on YouTube, lots of great stuff on YouTube. But as far as I'm concerned, they wrote the book and explaining it to us. They'll even tell you, you may find certain things happening when you start sending out your energy and the flow comes back. If it's not what you like, tweak that energy. Tweak it a little bit. Ramp it up. Take it to the next level. Everything that is created is via a process. But be grateful for what you're doing. Go at it with an attitude of gratitude. I'm so grateful that I realize that now I'm going to move in another direction. I'm so grateful for where I am because it showed me where I want to go. I'm so grateful for what I've been doing because it's taking me to the level of where I want to be. I am so grateful for fill in the blank. When you pop that attitude of gratitude in there, everything that I've just been talking about for the last 10, 12 minutes has the magic touch at that point. That's when you see things starting to change. In your creative process, is it always going to work out right? It's going to work out the way it should, but is it going to work out the way the end result is? Maybe not, but be grateful for that, because Edison had almost 10,000 tries before that light bulb came to him. And you know what he said when he was asked about it? When he was asked how it felt to fail for all those times, almost 10,000 times, he said, I didn't fail. I found 10,000 other ways it didn't work. He saw it, grateful for that creative process, that he saved all those people all that hard work because he figured out all those other ways it didn't work. So now all these other scientists and creatives, they didn't have to worry about that. They could go in another direction. He saw it as a gift to humanity. He saw it as something he gave back. Imagine if you saw all your creative processes as something that you were doing on behalf of the greater good of everybody else. Yeah, imagine. That's pretty daunting, isn't it? I mean, I'm thinking I'm just trying to learn how to make a bracelet or a cheesecake or a rosary or whatever the heck else I do, and I do a lot of other things, but I'm just focusing on those right now because I want to. But just imagine if you felt, if you knew, if you connected with the fact that your creative process and being grateful for it was actually doing the bigger collective a huge, huge service. Oh, never thought of it that way, did you? I didn't for the longest time. I just kept thinking, oh, gosh, this sucks, this is horrible, this is nasty, this is crazy, this is ... fill in the blank. Nope, not at all. When you slap that attitude of gratitude on that creative process, you are going to not only feel so much better about what you're doing, but can I give you a clue? You are also going to do better. Absolutely. You are going to start finding that which you create looks like the end product, tastes like the end product, smells like the end product, wears like the end product, just spends like the end product. It doesn't really matter what you're trying to do. An attitude of gratitude is never going to let you down. So trust that creative process is right where you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be there. Trust that when you slip that attitude of gratitude into that creative process, you're going to blow some ever-loving minds, including your own. And something that blows my mind all the time is the kindness and generosity of people that helped me create this program for you. One of them being David Martinka. His music is available at redvalleymusic.com and sunshadows.net. I always give thanks to the Creator because my Creator and myself, we create together. And whatever word you use to express gratitude to the Creator, you may insert it there at that point. I thank you all for following and supporting this show at www.blogtalkradio.com/perspectivepower. And me, Annette Rochelle Aben, I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube. I'm there for you. Twitter's another one. So look us up, check us out, join us every Wednesday live here for Attitude of Gratitude, 8 a.m. Eastern.